Hello there, and welcome back to the Time Machine with Trish and Mike. I'm still Mike.
And I'm still Trish.
And we're back for more fun and adventures and, yeah, all that fun stuff. So it has been a few weeks. We took a little break for the holidays. Trish, hope you had a good Christmas and good New Year's.
Yeah, I hope you did too. I mean, New Year, same me.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of the slogan.
Yeah. But it's all good. We are here. The show is going to have a little bit of a different format. So we had spent we spent a lot of time trying to think how we want to do the show this year to kind of try to freshen things up a bit. So what we're doing this year is we are actually going to just look at an event each day of the week. So like this week, the show drops on Thursday. So we're going to start with January 6th, and we'll have something for the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Actually, no, we won't have the 13th. That'll be next week. That's what I get.
Yeah.
You
got to come join us again for that one.
Exactly. And the show is going to be probably a little more pop culture related as opposed to some historical things.
There'll be ties in, but it'll still be our trivia based. This is a neat piece of information to have.
We hope that you still will learn something or at minimum be entertained. So we are going for that whole infotainment type of vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
So shall we?
It's first episode of season 2. Let's go.
All right. So January 6th, 1854, Sherlock Holmes' birthday.
This is true. So, Sherlock's really going to be the prototype for all great mastermind detectives that are going to come throughout history and our pop culture. And he's going to be created by Scottish writer Arthur Conan Doyle. And he first appears in Doyle's A Study in Scarlet, which is going to be published in Beaton's Christmas Annual of 1887. So been around the block for a while.
Yeah, I mean, 1854, I'd say that's making it around. I mean, that's over 107, almost 170 years ago.
See, I'm glad you're doing the math.
Yeah, well,
as we all know, I can't.
Yes, if you joined us for season 1, Trish and math do not exactly, we're not exactly compatible.
No, we're not copacetic. That's okay.
There you go. It's a good thing it's a good thing that your boyfriend is good at math because
he's very good at math. Yes. Yeah. And I have it's funny. Adrian is good at math. Julie is amazing at math, but me, not so much. Didn't get that gene anywhere. Now, we were both discussing when we brought up this trivia piece that we aren't actually huge Sherlock fans or buffs. I had a friend in high school who loved him. She even had the deerstalker hat.
Oh,
and
nice.
Would incorporate the name into her usernames for online social media stuff.
Well, that's an interesting fact. Yeah, it's not that I don't not like it. I just have never really dug into a ton of the books and movies and TV shows over the years.
Books. Really, the last major thing that I can remember is didn't Downey Jr. do a remake a couple years ago?
Yeah, he did. I think he did a couple of movies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to do something in between all the Marvel movies,
Right. Pass the time.
Yeah, exactly. Because whatever. But you do at least
without
now
him, it wouldn't have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say at least now when his birthday is, so you learn something.
Mm-hmm. This is true. Yeah. Now, on January 7th, we're going to totally change the pace. 1927, the Harlem Globetrotters are going to debut. And you actually had a story about this.
Yes, as we were doing our pre-production meeting for the show, I mentioned to you that I have a Harlem Globetrotter story. I'm assuming you have not seen the Harlem Globetrotters. You've never got to see them live. I do know they do shows in Canada from time to time. I don't know if they make it up to Edmonton, but of course,
it's like they always go to Toronto
and Vancouver.
There's other places in the Canada, man.
Yeah, I mean, do you get the the Saskatchewan prairie hounds coming, through Edmonton or something, I don't know. So fun fact. So back, this was almost 19 years ago now, as I think of how old I am.
I know 2000s was not 10 years ago anymore.
No, I have to get out of that mindset. So my mom and my dad had always wanted to go see the Globetrotters. And so we got tickets for me and my mom and dad to go see them. They were playing in Tampa that year. They weren't playing in Orlando. They were just coming to Tampa. So we had told Dad we were going to go to there's a big aquarium in downtown Tampa called the Florida Aquarium. It's a good little spot to go if you want to go to an aquarium. And so we told him we were going to go there for the day. So we drive to Tampa. We stop and eat lunch before we get to downtown. And so we're in the parking lot of a McDonald's. And so we decided to tell him, because he's driving, he has to know where we're going.
We're going to go.
Because, now, to be fair, the arena is maybe a mile from the aquarium, so it's the same general direction. But so we tell him, and he's like, wahoo, and does like this whole thing. And he about scared this poor guy riding on a bicycle down the sidewalk. Like this guy,
oh no,
did like a head turn thing because he scared him. So we get to the arena, and so our seats were, I'm assuming most people listening to this have been in an arena at some point, down typically in the lower bowls of arenas. Usually you have, 5-8 rows of pull-out seats.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like retractable seats that you would, for like hockey, you need all the floor space, but for say a basketball game, you can pull these seats out, or for concerts or something. So that's where our seats were. Well,
ooh, nice.
Yeah. So these were going to be good seats. Well, we start walking down the aisle and our row doesn't exist. So
no.
I'm just going to make up letters because I don't remember exactly what rows we were. Let's say we had row C. Well, they only pulled it out to row D.
They forgot your row.
Yes.
They said, I guess that's it.
So we go back and we talk to the usher, and about this time, some more people are coming back up with us because they're realizing, hey, our seats don't exist. And so she gets her supervisor, who they try to give us tickets like kind of towards the upper part of the lower bowl. So like say we were row C, they're trying to give us like row V or W
you're like,
or
this
something.
Is not happening.
And we're like, well, wait a minute now. We paid for seats, down there somewhere. You've got to give us something comparable. It's not our fault you guys didn't do this right. And so she's like, okay, give me a minute. So she goes back to the ticket office. So then she comes back. I don't know who she talked to make this happen, but she comes back. She's like, follow me. So we go down past our non-existent seats to the floor, and we literally had tickets like second row on the baseline behind the net.
Basically courtside
seats. I'm like, okay, now this is how you take care of us.
This is customer service. Thank you.
It gets better because if you've ever seen the Globetrotters, they do a lot of, they do trick shots and all that, but they like to go out and play with the crowd and everything. So one of the players grabs the tray of cotton candy from the vendor walking around and starts flinging bags of cotton candy in the crowd. So not only did we get upgraded seats, we got free cotton candy.
You got snacks and a show.
Yeah. So that was good.
That's fun. I don't know who she talked to, but it's like they went beyond manager.
Yeah. It's like, you've got to, you got to take care of your customers, So yeah, that was kind of fun.
Very cool.
But the Harlem Globetrotters are an American institution. And on January 8th, 1972, Don McLean's American Pie was number one for the second of its 4-week run as the number one song in America.
It is such a good song. They used to close out a lot of it was either our school dances in high school would close out with American Pie, or it was like Stairway to Heaven. I don't know why it was always one of those two. Very different vibes.
If only the people listening could see the look on my face. Like, those are two of... I can't even imagine playing those songs at a school dance, if I'm being honest with you, let alone...
Oh my gosh, and dancing to Stairway to Heaven was like the worst, because 7 minutes, it's longer than that, isn't it? It was a long time to just dance around in a circle.
You know what? what I remember being weird was the DJ at homecoming one year in high school. Well, it was in 2001, so this was like literally a month after September 11th. At one point played Bruce Springsteen's "Born in the USA," and I'm like, this really isn't a dancing song.
No.
Like go back and play something else. Like
Oh, American Pie though, you can get some good vibes happening.
Yeah.
It's like kind of homey and happy, and there's content vibes there.
Yeah. Just don't think too deep about the lyrics about,
Right,
the day the
no.
music died and Buddy Holly and the plane crash and the whole deal. It doesn't,
Wow. What kiddo in like grade 8 or 9 really is paying attention to that?
Probably nobody.
Most people didn't even know who Buddy Holly was.
That's true.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, they should, if you like music.
I'm surprised it was only 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it's interesting how music, the charts and stuff. And we're probably going to get into this a little bit more next week, actually. Just how different music is now with charts and streaming versus sales and all that. But there's a very famous parody of American Pie. Well, it's technically a parody. It uses the song,
right?
Weird Al Yankovic's "The Saga Begins" and I think that song really kind of gave American Pie a little bit of new life to a new generation because people knew that song and they're like, oh, what's this? Because this is that came out in '99, so that's kind of
it's like on the cusp,
right? Spotify's not a thing, so it's like, wait, what's that song? You have, in theory, people that didn't, kids or a younger generation that didn't know the original. So that was kind of cool. McLean's even said he sometimes will start to want to sing those lyrics when he's doing the song in concert because his kids would play the Weird Al version.
Weird Al version. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, and yeah, I think too with especially what, like you said, Spotify now kind of revamped some songs, and TikTok is actually bringing back old songs for some of their trends, and all these bands are suddenly getting royalty checks again, and they're like, what is going on? Like right now, who would have thought it's like Celine Dion's like the baby when you touch me like this you hold me like that song's trending on TikTok, and she's suddenly like, oh, okay, I'm relevant again, and kids are downloading her music.
Well, it's like last year when Dreams by Fleetwood Mac became the big thing with the guy skateboarding.
Yeah. Oh, I had to introduce my kids to that because they were like, Miss K, have you seen this guy on the skateboard? I'm like, yeah, but have you seen the band and heard the whole song? Like, let's go on a trip, children.
It's like there are probably kids who think these songs just exist on TikTok. It's like that stupid. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Have you ever seen that or heard the Fancy Like song about Applebee's? They don't have Applebee's in Canada. Oh, this absolute dreck of a song started on TikTok or whatever, and then the guy turned it into like a full length version. It's like some stupid country rap thing about being fancy. We're going to Applebee's tonight. It's just like it seriously is possibly the worst song ever. I'm not even exaggerating. Think how bad the Rebecca Black Friday thing was,
Lord,
and this is like 100 times worse. It's just I would play it for you, but we would probably get dinged for copyright, and quite honestly, I don't want to subject you to torture.
We don't need to listen. It's funny when as soon as you said Fancy, I was like, the Reba McEntire song. That's where my brain went.
No. That's actually a good song.
That is a good song. Oh, Reba. Now,
I've seen her a few times in concert.
You can stream music on lots of devices, but January 9th, 2007, the iPhone is released, right?
Yes.
And now we are currently experiencing an issue of the mutation of the iPhone, because right before we started to record, I could not find what is called a dongle. It's the actual term for the connector to connect your iPhone, the new iPhones, to regular headphones.
It is such a terrible name. Like, I don't know what else you can call the thing, but a dongle, like, have we ran out of words to use? Can we not invent? I mean, can't you just call it like a doohickey?
Well, it could be just a dual connection or an audio connector. Like, let's call it more what its purpose is.
Yes, a dongle. I mean, like, whatever.
Because I'm experiencing the pains of switching from Android to Apple. And while I do I like Nick always feels guilty because through our discussions, it was kind of partly a decision for me to change into an iPhone because he had an iPhone. But I do have to admit, like, there are some great features on the iPhone. And really, in '07, it's revolutionizing the way that we use our phones.
Oh yeah, because like Blackberries were a thing.
Yeah, I had a
But
Blackberry. It was Peel.
the iPhone completely changed the game, really. And
Mhm.
I have had iPhones now for 14 years. I got my first iPhone in 2008. So I didn't get the
Oh,
original, but I got the 3G, which was the second iPhone,
right.
not to confuse anybody. And then the third iPhone was like iPhone 4 or whatever. The numbering system is all
I had
whack.
a something C, I think. That's
Oh,
what I remember.
like the 5C or
Yes,
something, maybe.
that was my because I went from like a flip phone to a BlackBerry because my older brother had a BlackBerry, and while he was traveling, he's like, we can use like BBM Messenger, and then switched to the iPhone with my 5C,
Okay.
and then went back into Android, and I've been an Android user since like for 11 years, and then finally went back to iPhone.
See, I had, regular cell phones, then I had a flip phone, and then in 2008, I got a BlackBerry.
Mm.
And I had it first, and I just absolutely couldn't stand it. I didn't like it. If I was trying to send a picture message, I couldn't receive a call.
Yeah.
And it just was
weird.
like, yeah, I thought maybe I just got a defective phone. I don't know, but it was still under the return period. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who had just gotten an iPhone, and he was saying, how much the plan was and all that. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm paying the same amount a month for the service.
Like a worse phone.
Right. So I'm paying the same for the service because at the time you could get unlimited data.
Right.
I
know all you people with that unlimited data, and you're just like grandfathered in as you keep going. It's crazy.
It's the greatest thing. But it was like the price of the phone, because back then the price was kind of built into the cost of the monthly payment.
Yes.
You pay like $200 or whatever it was, and I paid like $150 for the BlackBerry. So I'm like, I'm going to take this back, pay the extra $50, upgrade and get an iPhone, get a phone that, and I've been an iPhone guy ever since. Go ahead.
The apps are so good. Like you can't beat the photography apps and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. I edit photos all the time on my iPhone. Follow me at Mike Light Photo, cheap plug. Anyway, I got to do what I got to do.
Got to do what you got to do, man. You got to make that better.
How many iPhones do you think have been sold?
Oh goodness, millions, hundreds of millions.
They do.
I don't know.
They do hundreds of millions in a year.
Yeah, I don't know what the totality since 2007. Oh my goodness!
Since its initial launch, more than 1.9 billion iPhones have been sold, and it's estimated that there are about 1 billion consumers currently using iPhones. So
that's wild.
That is like 1/6 of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to factor in, not everybody on the planet even has cell phones or cell phone capabilities. So of like the cell phone use population, it's even higher.
Right. Well, and you have to include, I mean, like, how many iPhones have you owned? Like, I've owned 2, right? So how many do you own?
I get one basically every other year. So I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've had like 6 or 7 iPhones, I guess, probably.
To factor in at least people are going to upgrade. I would say most people who are absolute iPhone users have had 2 to 3 phones at least minimum.
Yeah, I would think that's fair.
Yeah, but that's wild.
Yeah, iPhones took over, and it all started back in January of 2007. Something else that took over, not just America, but really the world, was this little show from Europe called Pop Idol, but would eventually in 2002 make its way to the United States and be renamed American Idol, where I think the show really exploded, because Pop Idol in the UK only lasted like 3 or 4 years. But as we know, American Idol definitely lasted a lot longer. And
American Idol really spawned everyone else. Like Canadian Idol wouldn't have existed except for American Idol.
Right. And then not to mention it spawns all these talent shows that we have today. America's Got Talent, The Voice. I'd even say you could throw in these like the shows like The Masked Singer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It all ties back to American Idol, because that really kind of, I mean, yeah, you could say Star Search back in the 80s, but that was like
It was still
Judge.
different.
That was a different format. American Idol had the interactive element where you could vote live and have the results the next night.
Yeah.
But on January 10th, 2010, the Fox network announced that Simon Cowell would leave American Idol at the end of the year to launch a US version of X Factor, which was another show that he launched over in the UK and brought to the States.
And American Idol was never the same.
It really wasn't, because I mean, at its peak, like if you go back to, that show would do, for the finale, it would do 36, 37 million people. I mean, they would average 30 million a week. And then if you look at, after he left, the show dramatically starts falling off a cliff.
Well, because you need that balance of, like, he was so snarky.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you can see when he has a soft spot, like when he sees genuine talent, right?
Yeah.
But like you need that balance of people, and they just had it. And then when it's not the same.
Right. So like his last season, the show averages about 22 million viewers an episode. Mm-hmm. Now there is a bump the next year. It does go up to like 24 million, but it starts declining very quickly. Like the second year without Simon, it goes to 19 million, then 15 million, then 11 million.
A lot of people watch it at the beginning for like, you want to see the terrible people who think they're good, right?
Right.
And then after that, you're like, okay, I'm done.
Well, and I think there's also burnout that happened. You start having more competition shows like this, such as America's Got Talent. You had Simon on the X Factor. And I think you just kind of got,
it like ran its course.
Like, yeah, it was like, So You Think You Can Dance, Dancing with the Stars. Like there's all these different competition shows. And I just, at one point, I got tired of all of them, and I just kind of pretty much abandoned them. I will watch American Idol occasionally here and there now, just to.
Oh, I can't even remember the last time I watched any of those shows.
I mean, I couldn't tell you who won any of them. I've just seen, like I might have it on one week in the background while I'm doing something else or whatever.
Yeah. The last thing I saw was only because of TikTok, was the finale of Dancing with the Stars, and it was JoJo Siwa, and it was only because there was such a controversy over the fact that she didn't win, and her routine was incredible, and I'm watching it going, she got robbed. Like her partner, it was the first time it was like a female partner, and they're doing these crazy tricks in like stilettos, and you're like, what?
See, now I've wondered this with Dancing with the Stars, because I watched that show for several years, and I'll occasionally maybe catch a clip here or there or something of it. But I've always wondered, when you're bringing in like pop stars that perform and dance as part of, like, to me, that's almost kind of not fair competition, Oh,
because they have that experience, or that's
right? Because they have the training, they do the dance. I mean, granted, it's a different format. I fully acknowledge that, ballroom dancing versus like, pop dancing and what have you. But they have some dance background versus bringing in,
they have some body
player.
Awareness, right? Like, how to move in those ways.
Yeah, exactly. But
it was phenomenal. But anyway, I mean, other than
I'm not taking anything away from her. I just was making a general,
You're right. I agree. And then you guys end up having January 11th, 1995, the WB television network was launched. And we got some of these shows in Canada. I don't know if we had the WB per se right away. I mean, now, of course, in Canada, you can get it because we have with my Optic digital box, I can watch the WB and have that channel and whatever. But when it first came out, there was no way.
Do they still call it the WB up there?
Well, they changed it to
because here the WB became the CW.
Yeah, the CW. I can get the CW channel.
Okay, so the WB network starts, like we said, back in 95, and it really becomes the fifth major network in the US, because you have ABC, CBS, and NBC. Those are the big three. And then you had Fox that started in the 80s. And so the WB kind of took a similar format where they just started broadcasting one night a week. And slowly over time, eventually it turned into, 6 nights a week. Saturdays were usually reserved for repeats or local programming. And then they expanded into having kids WB. So like when the WB started, that's where you had shows like Seventh Heaven, Sister, and all those shows. And then as we kind of got to the later part of the 90s, that's where shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Ally McBeal, that sort of type shows, Dawson's Creek. And then, they hit a niche with like this teen drama thing.
Yeah,
they
that's
get
what they're known.
they would get into Gilmore Girls and Charmed and One Tree Hill, which is like a guilty pleasure of mine.
I'm like, I got into Buffy, but way later, like when it was on Netflix, because I started to watch Buffy in high school when we finally started getting access to the channel like more regularly and stuff. And but if you didn't watch it right on time, like you got thrown out of the story arc, right? Because this was before I had access to like a PVR.
Oh yeah, you couldn't back then. You'd have to, if you couldn't watch something, you had to set a VCR, hit record, the whole deal, and you'd have to wait till the end of the show to go back and watch it. You couldn't just hop on 5 minutes later and start watching it.
They did reruns, so after school I could watch that. But now, like you were saying, modern times, it's when we have like Smallville and
now CW is mostly known for a lot of the DC shows. Like, so you have Green Arrow, or you have Flash, or Supergirl, or those Legends of Tomorrow.
They're in that like teenage niche, but they've like matured for our age a bit more.
Yeah, it's like we've got this whole generation that grew up watching our network. We're going to keep you.
Yeah. And I was really into Riverdale for a while, and then it just got kind of weird. And
Riverdale, I was a little late to the party on Riverdale. Probably started, I think it might have been like the third or fourth year the show was on, and I finally watched the first season. I blew through the first season in like 4 days.
Yeah.
I just binge watched the crap out of it. And then I got to the second season though, and there was I forget the big storyline that goes in the second season with the red,
because it was all about like
somebody.
The masked shooter,
yeah,
right?
the red masked people, and I just like completely lost interest, and I've never really gone back to watch it. But I liked the first season. I liked that, but
it was neat to see it reimagined, right? And having that darker element was really interesting. I actually really liked Sabrina, because they also had Sabrina come out at the same time as Riverdale, and I thought that was way more interesting and entertaining. And so there's hits and misses. I guess it all depends on personal preference too.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And like Kids WB, that would give us shows like, it was mostly a lot of the animated programming. That's where we got Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Freakazoid, Batman Beyond.
Oh, so good.
Got lots of good stuff.
Which ties into our last piece of trivia for this week, which is January 12th, 1966. ABC's Batman television series premiered.
Yes. Now this
started it all.
Yes, this is my first. Well, started the TV. The Batman comic had been around since 1939, but this was really my first introduction to Batman. I mean, let's be clear, not not in 1966. Okay, I'm not that old.
Yeah.
But I would remember watching this show in reruns, and then of course the Tim Burton movie came out, and so on and so forth. And I've been hooked on Batman ever since. Me too. What's interesting was how the show would it would end on a cliffhanger. So most storylines were 2-part episodes. You'd have one that would air on Tuesday, and then the next one would air on Wednesday night. And that's where the whole, same bat time, same bat channel. So you knew to tune in to where you were watching, the next night for the conclusion of the episode. The show only ran for 3 seasons. And
it seems like it ran for so much longer in my mind, right?
Right. Like it doesn't, you don't realize it really had a relatively short span, and they made the movie.
Oh, the movie.
Which is entertaining. And they originally wanted to make the movie before the series as a way to promote the show. But the series got moved up, and so they had to wait till the summer hiatus to film the movie. So then they filmed it and quickly tried to get it in theaters before the start of the second season to promote the show.
Oh my gosh, how amazing would it be to see that movie in the movie theater?
I would imagine that would be interesting,
but so fun.
The movie at least gave them props that they were able to use for the future shows, because you get the bat boat and the bat copter and that sort of thing, which they would then go on to use, which clearly would not have been done on a TV show budget.
Oh, no. Yeah. It's nice that they were able to keep access to those things.
Yes. And in some cases, just reuse footage.
This is true.
Saves on filming. It's like, we don't have to fly the helicopter. We just need to sit them in the helicopter to read some lines, that sort of thing. They actually did a sort of a revival of the 66 Batman show. They did a couple of animated versions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever got to see any of these, but I thought they were pretty good. I liked them, and they brought Adam West and pretty much everybody that was in the show that was still alive to do the voices for the characters.
And that's, we've discussed that we're cosplayers, and so the Catwoman, right? That the 60s version is definitely on my list of eventually doing, like the sparkly black gold belt, big, like the big hair, no cowl.
See, I would love to do. See, this is where it's like I would love to do Batman. The 66 Batman, but I have a beard, and you can say, well, you can still do it, but that's where I'm such a stickler for the character. Like that Batman doesn't have a beard. Like if I want to do, Ben Affleck Batman, I could kind of get away with it with a beard or something,
right.
But it's like,
or doubly.
Yeah, but like, or Michael Keaton's Batman, like they're, I don't know.
It's too like squeaky clean image, with
right? Like I could do a gruffier version, like I said, like the Affleck or something, but
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe one day. I'll
one day.
Bat suit. But well, speaking of one day, that wraps up day one, or episode one rather, of our season 2. Yes, I had to think.
Episode 1, season 2 in the bag.
Yes, and if you tune in same bat time, same bat channel next week, episode 2 will be here waiting for you.
So if you have any questions, concerns, queries, or freakouts, you can still find us at The Time Machine with Trish and Mike at gmail.com, The Time Machine with Trish and Mike on Instagram. You throw that into the old Google machine with YouTube, and you can track us down there.
Yes. Is that all? I think that's all.
It. It always feels like there's more than 3, but 3 is enough.
3 is enough, and that's enough of us.
Oh, that's what it is. The 4th is the anchor. You can leave us a message.
Oh, yes.
Which we did receive an anchor message all about our episode with War of the Worlds.
Yes, we did, and we would play that for you, but I did not have it prepped for this week's episode. But we will play your message. So about it. Yes.
Yeah.
So peek behind the curtain. We were actually on a meeting the other night discussing the show when we got the alert that we get a voice message. It was a nice moment.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you, Nick, for leaving us a message. We appreciate your feedback, and we will include you in a future episode. But that will do it for this week. Join us next week, same bat time, same bat channel, for more of Time Machine with Trish and Mike.